Well, here we go. This video is in response to a special request from one of our subscribers asking for some scenarios or to pose some prepper challenge type questions, give us some things to think about, and then maybe outline a few little steps that we can take. Now, if you have further ideas, drop them in the comments, share, like, and subscribe. Here we go. The Prepper Challenge 3 Scenarios to Think About, Volume 1. The scenario you just heard from your little prepper bird that there will be rotating power outages. Your area is scheduled, soon to be announced, to be without power from 8 p.m. until 6 a.m. tomorrow. 8 p.m. tonight until 6 p.m. tomorrow. What would you do? Go to level 2 on your electricity disruption plan? Maybe race to the store to buy batteries. You're not entirely sure which batteries you need, but it seems like the thing to do. You wouldn't do anything. This will be a good chance to see the stars, or satellites at least. Maybe you'd message all your friends in your prepper group to ensure that they are aware. So, electricity disruption plan. This is one of those things you should have a contingency for it. There are lots and lots and lots of things that could disrupt the electricity. And we really basically don't care what does it. We don't care the reason why. We just need to know that the electricity does not work. So we start off by asking ourselves, what do we use electricity for? If you don't use it for anything, you don't need a plan for it. You won't even notice. But we use it for light, communications. We have our phones, we have the radio, we have the internet, we have our TV. Use it for cooking. If you have an oven or an induction stovetop. Refrigeration, right, keeps our food and medication cold. Heating, your furnace or your natural gas fireplace, they don't work without electricity. Your heat pump won't work without electricity. Cooling, we use it for air conditioning. We might have electric heaters, baseboard heaters as well, might be our pure source of electricity. So things you want to think about in your disruption plan is how widespread is it going to be? Is it just localized to your area? How long? Is it temporary or unknown, expected to last a while, or who knows? How would we mitigate? So again, remember, mitigation is to lessen either the likelihood or probability that an event will happen, or to decrease the impact should it happen. So if we're using electricity for light, we'd have to think, what else could we use for light? Well, we could use candles. If we have a lantern that runs on kerosene, we could use that. We could have battery or solar powered lights. Communications. Well, we could have battery or wind up powered radio. We could have battery walkie talkies. We could have a ham radio with a backup, a small handheld unit perhaps. We could have our own generation capabilities. We could have a generator that might run on propane, gas, or diesel. We could have solar, wind, or water generation of electricity. If it's just localized, and if we didn't want to put too much planning into it, we might say, hey, we'll establish a second place we can go that wouldn't be impacted, that's not in the blackout area. If you're using it for heat, what kind of backup heat sources do you have? Now, you could get your furnace, wired to be able to plug into an extension cord, plug it into your generator, and then power the blower that way. You could have wood-burning appliance. You could have a propane heater, kerosene heater. All kinds of different options there. Even a candle can generate a nice amount of heat. How would you cook? Well, you might have natural gas, maybe a natural gas cooktop that's not impacted. Unless you have piezo igniters, then you better make sure you've got a lighter to be able to ignite that. Maybe you've got a solar cooker, or you've got a barbecue, or a small propane camping stove, or you've got wood that you've got a grill or wood appliance that you can use to cook with. Some of your food should be, non-perishable because refrigeration is going to be an issue, and maybe that doesn't require cooking. Pull top, open a can of beans. It's going to be cold, but it's going to fill you up. It's going to be food. Have water on hand as well, because depending on if the outage, now they likely wouldn't, hopefully they would try and have the treatment plant not impacted in the rotating blackouts or brownouts, but have some water on hand. Unless you want to walk to a water wagon if the water's out in your area. But hopefully the water would still work even if you're without power. Have stockpiles of batteries. Know which types of batteries you need. You should have, both those bricks or those battery banks that you can have charged up ahead of time, and normal batteries. If you have time, part of your plan should be, maybe you go to level 2 on your plan, and that's, you hear about this outage. What's the first thing you do? Plug in all your stuff. Make sure your laptop's charged up. Plug in all your battery packs. Top them up. Make sure everything that can be charged up is charged up. Refrigeration. Have some coolers ready to jam pack full of items out of the freezer. Cover the coolers with blankets, straw, grass, anything to help further insulate it. Keep them in the shade. It'll last longer. Those are just some basic things to think about in your plan. All right, scenario number 2. Due to mounting election violence, you've been told by a police officer friend, and of course your little prepper bird, that it's best to not leave the house tonight. They're expecting rioting. Maybe you're downtown, maybe you're by an area that's kind of a high conflict or a magnet for conflict. So what do you do in that scenario? Well, do you race out and get food and water as you realize, whoa, I don't have any? Maybe you go and buy some fireworks, as this could be fun. Maybe you go to level 2 on your security plan. Or you do nothing because it's all just fake news. Well, what would a security plan look like? Well, you should look at have a leveled or tiered security plan. What's your baseline? What do you do day to day all the time? I always keep my front door locked, unless I'm expecting company. And even then, sometimes I keep it locked so I can hear them. They're actually knocking. But maybe I keep that front door locked all the time. Maybe I do a nightly check to make sure everything's locked. And you want to make sure that as you plan, work backwards and forwards. So plan it out. But if you get to level 2 and say, wow, if I was going to do this at level 2, I would need to already have those items in place at level 1. So part of level 1 is having the materials on hand to enact level 2 or 3 plans. What would level 2 look like? Well, maybe you engage secondary locks on your garage door, right? You don't want someone just forcing your big garage door open. So you've watched the video that I did on home and garage safety, and you've got some secondary means to lock your big garage door. Maybe you have bars that you can put over the doors. You can go to your garage door or a back door or anything but your primary door. Maybe you put those bars, those barricade bars you can get, or put a chair up against it or pile something against it. Maybe you get your defensive weapons ready. Maybe you normally have a gun safe with all your guns in it. Go down and check, make sure everything's ready to go. Right? Where's that baseball bat that you wanted to keep handy? Scare people off. Maybe level 2, you alert family and friends. Say, hey, if you hadn't heard, you should probably stay home tonight. Maybe you get in touch with your neighbors. Let's look out for each other. What about level 3? Well, maybe you put bars or wood over windows. If you say level 3 means it's getting bad, maybe your trigger is confirmed rioting, right? There's a big mob marching towards your area, or there's something that is confirmed. And you can look at whatever your triggers are for these various levels. So maybe you have plywood ready. Again, do you have the resources staged and ready to do that? Maybe you have a roll of barbed wire that you purchased and you keep in the back shed that you string out over the top of your fence to dissuade people from climbing over it. Maybe you put obstacles in front of the doors or windows, maybe even on the outside of the house. Tanglefoot wire. You drive some stakes into the ground. Whatever it is, right? You dissuade people from coming to your place. Maybe you position and carry your defensive weapons. Maybe that's something. You put the bat by the door. You have something else ready, whatever it is. Think about your plan. Think about the triggers. Think about what you need to go to the different levels. Next scenario. You've just heard from the prepper bird that all dock workers will be going on strike. All ports in North America will be closed within 72 hours. Now, this is not a stretch of the imagination. We've seen, half the ports closed already in both the States and Canada. So it's not a stretch to get to this. What are you going to do? You've got 72 hours. You're going to do nothing. The government will save you. They'll mandate everyone to go back to work. They wouldn't let this happen. Maybe you make some popcorn because you're going to watch everyone else. You're a prepper and you're ready. You're just going to pull your chair up to the window and watch the crazies all run around trying to buy stuff. Maybe you're going to race out and buy as much stuff as you can. You're not entirely sure what to buy because you haven't really inventoried your own stuff. You don't know what you need. You don't know what you got. Or maybe you head out to pick up the items on your last minute list that you have ready. That's a good thing to have. Have a list that if I had to race out right now and I had one day to buy something, I had 4 hours to buy something, whatever kind of notification time you get, prioritize that list. Maybe it's medication, maybe it's Tylenol aspirins, maybe it's meds for yourself or your family members. Maybe it's stock up on pet food, maybe it's get some more canned food, last minute ammo run, whatever it is, have a last minute list ready. Some thoughts on this. It's important to have enough food and water and other essentials on hand. You don't want to be in that panic situation where you have to go out into the chaos. Right? If you don't have to get in line for fuel because you've got your fuel can ready and your car is never below 3/4, awesome. If you've got food ready and you know, hey, I don't have to get out there in all this pandemonium. I've got food and water here. I just got to hunker down. I've got my bug out location ready. I just got to leave. Right? Grab my kit and go. Have critical supplies and spares on hand. Make a list and start picking away at it. Maybe you want to be able to not let people know that you've got light capability. So you buy some black plastic or some blackout curtains. You may not have them up, but maybe you've got them ready. You've pre-cut them to the size of your windows. You've got tape ready, whatever it is, ready to go. You call it your blackout kit. You put it in a duffel bag, you leave it there. Maybe you want to have that ready. You want to have plywood ready, an extra box of nails or screws, roll of barbed wire, whatever it is. Try and be self-sufficient where you can, or know locals you can turn to. So if you're able to grow a little bit of your own food, great. If not, maybe one of your neighbors does. Maybe you know a local farmer. Maybe you can trade a good or service that you have for that. Your connections in your community is important. Think about all those things. Here we go. Hope you liked it. Thanks very much.